Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. Happy Monday. Oh my gosh, how are you? I'm doing so good. The sun shone, I'm not sure. It definitely was brighter out this Sunday, which I was so excited for because you guys know I'm over the winter. I am tired of it being cold and dreary out. And let me tell you, I have also turned into the biggest weenie when it comes to driving in the snow. Okay. And this is abnormal behavior because growing up in Northeast Iowa, we had snow constantly and it was several inches, right? Like it was not abnormal to have like 5 or 6 inches of snow on the ground at any time where I lived in Iowa. It was absolutely insane, super annoying. And I would not let that stop me. I would be driving to and from school. And I was a wrestling cheerleader for my junior and senior year. So to make it to our Saturday meets, we would have to get up at like 4 a.m. in the morning, drive to the school, park your vehicle there all day, and it could be bad weather and it could snow on your vehicle, and then having to like drive that back home. Seriously, it was a horrible time because sometimes we'd get back at like 5 or 6 o'clock at night and it's dark outside. So it's dark when you go, dark when you leave. Absolutely atrocious. And now I cannot see myself driving at all. I had a meeting with a gal on Wednesday. We were going to meet for coffee and I was like getting ready. I got up. We needed to meet at 7:30. So I was like, okay, perfect. I took a shower, I blew dried my hair, I put on my makeup, and I had asked Garrett before I started getting ready because it had snowed overnight. I was like, do you think it would be okay if I made my way into town? And he was like, yeah, it should be good. I get into my vehicle and I get onto the highway, and the highway is still covered in snow. And I texted the girl. I was like, hey, have you left yet? And thankfully she said, no, I haven't. I said, perf, don't come. I'm not coming. So I turned around and I came back home. I probably could have made it into town, but seriously, I just don't want to risk it. And I used to have to drive to work no matter what. Like I could not call in because other staff members that I was in charge of would cancel, and then somebody has to be there. Right. And I remember like my manager being like, well, you have to make it to work because the people under you have already canceled, and who's going to be doing the things, we have to be open for the customers. I was like, okay, it's fine. So I would have to drive in the worst weather, leave 30 minutes earlier than I would normally leave. And I'm just over it. I cannot see myself driving in the snow. It is spooky out there. Okay. And I just Godspeed to anybody who has to drive on the road and make it to work because it is horrifying. I'm so grateful to be able to work from home. But yeah, I texted that girl. I said, I cannot come. I am so sorry. And my vehicle, I drive a truck and it has studded tires on it currently. So I know I'm definitely safer than if I was in a light car, because I remember driving Garrett's Buick Regal to Wichita, Kansas one winter, and it was so cold. It was snowing. It snowed the day that we had got there, and the snow compacted into the wheel well. So it was spinning against the snow that was compacted. And I was having to pull over and push it out because Wichita got a ton of snow that year too. So needless to say, I'm spooked. Okay. I do not like driving in the snow. I don't like being out in bad weather. I'd rather be inside cozied up. I want to be with a blanket. I want to have my fireplace on. If it's morning, I'm going to have coffee. If it's evening, I'm having a tea and I'm just chilling. Okay. And the dogs, they'll go outside, they'll run around, they'll do all their things, but it's like, they're also wanting to come inside. Nobody wants to be outside. I to say the least, winter, it's been long enough. Okay. I'm ready for it to dissipate. I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for things to be blooming. And let me tell you, the spring cleaning bug has bit me so hard. This past week, listen, I love a to-do list, and I have been writing what needs to be done for work and what needs to be done for home and what needs to be done for all of my side projects, right? And I have been having a later list. I've talked about this before. A later list is all the things that you need to get done. They're kind of weighing on your brain, but you know that you might not be able to get them done today, right? Oh, I'll do these later. I still need to have them in my brain. I still need to be aware of them, but I don't have to do it right now. I'm going to do it later. It just helps me compile them. And I was like, all right, I need to clean under my guest bathroom sink. That's where all of my items are for hair products, skin products, all of the things. I need to go through those. I need to see what had expired, what is still good, or what is not going to be in my repertoire anymore. What can I, dispose of? I bought Bay's suitcases for Christmas, a little, Merry Christmas to myself this past November during their Black Friday sale. And I thought that they would be able to fit under my bed like my old suitcases were, but they were way too thick, way too big. They could not fit. My bed currently has nothing under it. So there should have been plenty of room for these suitcases, but they were just too the depth of the suitcase was too deep for underneath my bed. So I had to figure out where to put those. I needed to go through my closet. Last month in January, I went through all of our cleaning supplies and completely threw out anything that was toxic. We have transitioned over to Branch Basics, which has been awesome. And just using that throughout the house. And I'm like, okay, I need to also go through my clothes. And that it was so hard because I have had some regrets of things that I've thrown out in the past, donated, whatever. I'll think back and be like, oh, I remember that top. It was so cute. I wish I still had that top. But for whatever reason, I decided to get rid of it. Maybe I wasn't wearing enough. Maybe I was wearing it too much. And I felt like I need to donate this. I'm getting tired of seeing it. But this time I was going through my closet and I just had the intention that if it was made out of plastic, I don't know why, but this has been such an ick in my brain. If it was made out of polyester or acrylic or anything that was not cotton or linen, I put it in a pile and I donated it. I donated 4 bags of sweaters and miscellaneous items, just whatever was in my closet. And I'm so lucky. I thrifted. I did have a couple sweaters left over. I was very thankful. But I thrifted a couple sweaters this past fall, and the one I have on now is 100% cotton. It's really thick. And I love it so much. It's one of my favorite sweaters. And then I thrifted 2 red sweaters and a blue and red striped sweater. And those were 100% cotton. I couldn't believe it because when I purchased them, I was not reading the labels. And I just picked something up willy-nilly. But I'm like, okay, perfect. I will have a couple things to wear, but the amount of hangers has reduced so drastically. I am a little scared for summertime because I feel like a lot of my dresses are going to be that lightweight polyester material, which is very cute, right? It's very cute, but I'm just so tired of clothes shrinking or not lasting as long. And it's kind of in my mindset these microplastics, and I'm like, oh, I don't want that. either. So I went through my entire closet, and while it's not perfect, like there were a couple things that I know do not fit the criteria of linen or cotton, but I don't have a replacement yet. One being like leggings, and joggers, another one being pajamas. I need to invest in some linen or cotton pajamas, and I don't know what I'm going to do for athletic wear. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, for a sports bra, but I am on the right track. I feel really, really good about, kind of the spring cleaning that I've been doing, clearing out the old to get ready for the new. And honestly, like my hanging up clothes, right? Like if you have a pile of laundry that you're supposed to do and you finally are like, all right, I'm going to wash the laundry. I'm going to put the laundry away. And you do that. And then you get to your closet, and your closet is like jam packed full of clothes, and you can't even get the new clothes into your closet or the clean clothes. That is so frustrating to me. I absolutely despise it. And now that my hangers can move like so freely, that makes me so happy. But I also need to find a place for these beige suitcases. And how our closet was built is we have like a rack, 2 racks, and then a platform on top of the bottom rack. And then we have a shelf that is a built-in shelf. And that's where I put my t-shirts and my jeans. And then we have our hang up clothes. And then on the piece of wood on top of the clothing rack, we put like I put these baskets. I had 3 baskets. One was for, or 2, my socks, Garrett socks, and then the other one for like, boxers or whatever. And it had a lot of dead space, right? Like it wasn't being utilized very good, but since I had hangers on the top rack, sometimes the clothes would like hang down, and so you couldn't really put anything there without it like bumping in or looking kind of messy. So this past weekend I was able to, I had shelves on the very, very top rack. I hope I'm explaining this properly, but there was like these cheap shelves that I bought when I was in college, and I moved them over from my dad's house, and I just put them on like the very top of my closet, and had some shoes, but it really wasn't that accessible to grab my shoes. I would normally have to like jump and like try and pull them down. So I just pushed all of that onto the floor. Every single shoe, I just like went bop, 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 pushed them all on the floor. And I was like, please let my suitcase fit on this very top shelf, because I've seen so many closets that have like storage of their bags or like their nice shoes on top. I was like, maybe my suitcases would fit. And guess what? They did fit. I did have to keep like some of my cowboy boots up there. I have some like pretty tall cowboy boots that I don't want them to fold, but there's nowhere else to put them. So they're right next to my suitcases, but I did find an area for the suitcases. And then I took the little, it's like two little shelves. It's not very big. I think I got it from Walmart, to be honest, but I put those on top of my second shelf in my closet. And let me tell you, it completely elevated where I is looking, and the space looks so much cleaner, so organized in a way that isn't overwhelming. It doesn't look like a whole bunch of stuff is stacked, and it made me feel so good to just be able to like look at it. When I tell you, this past weekend, I just did some spring cleaning. I cleared out so much stuff, and it feels like a weight has been lifted off of my shoulders, where I just feel like there is so much opportunity for just like inspiration to come in. And I feel like when I'm so discombobulated with all of the things that need to be done, and I'm just like overwhelmed, having a clear, clean space is so powerful. And it also just like makes me feel so good, because I'm not worried about moving clutter from one side of the room to the next side of the room, or making sure everything is like fitting into the closet because it's jam packed and I'm like shoving hangers in there. But it also like the choice of trying to have more natural fibers in comparison to like manufactured fibers. And I know that it's going to take more than just like one weekend of clearing out some old clothes to like really get the transition of the natural fibers. But I just decided that you got to step in the right direction somehow. You have to start somewhere. And this past I don't know, November, December, I heard a ton of ads about quince, and apparently quince is like a natural fiber. They have wool and other wool sweaters. I was trying to think of like the actual names of wool, but I can't remember any. But what really caught my attention was it's like this affordable wool sweater company. They have other things as well. But like their huge like marketing tactic, or like what they're really driving, their, I don't know, peak interest is the $50 wool sweater. And they're saying they're like 60% less than other like equivalent brands. And I've been like lusting over these sweaters. I'm like, okay, like this is going to be something that I'm putting on my list. Same with like non-toxic, cooking wear, like that's also on my list. And I just mentally, I was like, I'm going to add it. I don't have time right now. Plus like in November and December, I feel like I'm spending my money on everybody else. I don't really want to spend money on myself during that time. And also we had like travel plans and everything which way, but anyways, so I was like, okay, I'm going to buy quince sweaters, but I don't just want to like buy things if I already have things in my closet. Like it seems like I don't know, like if you are doing things wrong, this is not going to make sense at all. It makes sense in my brain, but what I'm trying to say is like, I could buy a quince sweater and add it to my closet, but shouldn't I clear out the old energy first? Shouldn't I, go through, and see what I can donate or what's no longer serving me, and then welcome in the new stuff? Like I have to actually like go through it. I have to do some work. And that's what I did. I went through my sweaters. There are only a handful of things in my closet currently, that are not natural fibers. I'm just like unable to replace them yet. But I was like, this is a great start. We're going into spring. I'm not necessarily going to need sweaters. I definitely am going to purchase some sweaters from Quince, but in my head, it's like, okay, it's going to be $50. If I want 2 sweaters, that's about $100. And just like trying to budget things in my head. But what really annoys me is like you go to a boutique, or you go to like any department store, and the sweater that they're advertising is like about the same price. And it's like a synthetic material that is going to shrink, or it's not going to last, or it's like not as soft or not as cozy. Like there's so many things that I'm just like over, and I really and truly, I feel like 2025 is the year for investing for me. It's like investing in my health, investing in my clothing, investing in my routines, and really just like making sure it's right, and not settling for something that's lesser quality just because it's convenient or it's what I'm used to. So I'm trying to get a little uncomfortable with my routines and with my spending habits and how I'm purchasing things, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to break a habit, especially when you've kind of just been like caught up and doing it. That's why I love it when the sun comes out. I feel like winter is such like a cold, dreary time. And as a person, like I don't want to get out. I don't want to do much of anything. Maybe it's, a little touch of SADD. But when the sun comes out, I feel like the sunlight has been straight injected, and I'm ready to go out. I'm ready to run around. I want to plant things in my garden. I want to be outside in the grass, all the things, right? And I know that we have still so much to go before spring. We are halfway through February, which is absolutely insane. I feel like I say this every single month, and yet it just goes on and past. But I was talking to a friend about the savings time. It's like the second week in March. That is less than a month away, which is crazy. But the days are already starting to get a little bit longer. So it's like, we are going in the right direction. We're going in the right track. we have to do all of these like small little steps in order to become the person you want to be, because it doesn't just happen overnight. And I think about my goals and my aspirations for this year, and I think about what I want to be spending my time, energy, money on, and I know it's not instantaneous. I know it takes little steps, and while it might seem so simple of, all right, like I've cleared out my closet, I've made way for a couple things, that's what's going to get me in the right direction. That's what it takes to then like move forward. And it's not perfect. Like I know there are several things in my closet that don't meet my current criteria, and until I can replace them, like I'm not going to throw them out because I still need them. This past week it was Valentine's Day, right? And I had I have this like slip dress, or it's a slip skirt. It's a black skirt. It has like the shininess. It's the cheap version of whatever silk should be, right? It's polyester, but it's one of my favorite skirts. And I know that one day I will have a silk shirt or a silk skirt, but currently like this is what I have and I wear it all the time. So I know it would be a good investment for me to have like the silk one. I'm just not there yet, right? But I had this Galentine's Day event for my social club, and I was like, all right, I need to get something out, but I had just cleared out my closet of everything. I don't yet have my dresses. I need something red. I was planning on wearing one of my red sweaters, but as I put it on, I've been wearing the Native deodorant, and I did not realize that it would transfer, which is kind of annoying for no reason. But I got deodorant all over that sweater, and I was trying to get it off, and it wouldn't come off. So I was like, I'm just going to toss this in the wash, because I was thinking about layering it with the skirt, right? It did not work out. I ended up just like, I had this really gauzy little tie top that I put on top, and then nylon stockings. What about nylon stockings? How am I supposed to replace that with a natural fiber? Like, there are some things that I am not sure if I'm going to be able to transition over to something else. So we'll see how that goes. What about shoes? Like, I know it's not going to be perfect but for now it's fine, right? Like, I'm just trying to tell myself it's fine for now, do better, and like slow and steady wins the race. So but yeah, our Valentine's Day was so much fun. It was this past Thursday, and we went to a little speakeasy called Noir in Kansas City. And let me tell you, this place was very hard to find. So here I am in my nylon stockings and my very thin polyester skirt and my little gauzy top. I did not bring a coat. I left my coat in the car because I did not want to have to like worry about my coat. I already had my purse. I already had my tripod. Then I'm going to have to also carry up my coat and host these girls. Like, absolutely not. So what I did instead was I left it in the car, and I was like, you know what? I passed. Noir is like a sub speakeasy to the restaurant. So they're two separate entities, but they're owned by the same person. And he's like, when I made the reservations, they didn't really say anything about the entrance. It was like a little, but I had friends go before, and they said it's like this little lion that you're supposed to like use the knocker. And I'm like, okay, but I didn't know which side of the alley it was on. So I am with my friend. We're walking in the snow, in the slush. Did I tell you that I'm over the snow? I'm over it. So we're walking down this alley, and I can feel like the snow slush, like just be squishing underneath my feet. Disgusting, right? And I'm freezing. Okay. It has been so cold. And this was Thursday. So it was we got snow on Wednesday. That's the day that I did not want to like go to coffee, right? And so I'm walking up and down the street trying to find where this restaurant is. And I look across and I see some other girls like dressed up, and I was like, hey, like, are you part of, the Golden Gal Network? Are you part of my social club? And they're like, what? And I was like, do you know where the building is? And they were like, it's this way. And they started walking down. but we were still like across the street, like trying to walk over. And we get down there and I see them like giving a big like gesture. And so I walked down there. I was like, hey, how's it going? I'm Logan. Nice to meet you. And they introduced themselves as well. And then we like went in. It was fine. It was great. I assumed that they were part of my social club. They were not. They were just random gals who are very sweet, very welcoming. And they're like, yeah, we do this. We just booked this to hang out. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I am so sorry. Thank you for telling me where it was because I could not find the restaurant. But I appreciate, your willingness to help me so much. That's so sweet. And it also saved me from being freezing cold outside. Because it was ridiculous. But we had 25 girls come to my little Cupid social shuffle. Oh my gosh, what a tongue twister. I can't even say that. But it was so much fun just to hang out. The vibes were immaculate. The photos were quite horrendous because it was so moody. It had candles. Speaking of candles, guys, let me just real quick. I've been throwing things out that are like scented. I went through like my kitchen supplies. I went through like my bathroom stuff. Garrett had lit some candles that I'd purchased previously. The way that they gave me an instant headache when I came inside, I was like, oh my gosh, like I feel like the smoke and the like smell really got to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't lit a candle for so long. That I was like, ooh, this is really affecting me. But these were fake candles at the restaurant, so they did not impact me. But that just goes to show, like, you eliminate something out and then it's like, wow, this actually made a huge difference in the way that I'm like smelling or whatever. So I know it's working. Maybe it's like working in the opposite way where things where I'm going to become more sensitive to things, which I don't really want. But yes, it was fake candlelit, very moody, very immaculate. They had a beautiful mirror. I've been mirror shopping, trying to find one for my own house. So I've been hyper aware of everybody else's mirror and how it looks and how it could possibly look in my house. I'm like, ooh, like that's really cute. But those huge mirrors are hundreds of dollars and I'm fine with that, but I am so nervous about transporting it. Like I'm going to get in my vehicle and then bring it home and like, I'm nervous I'm going to break it, like I don't want it to break. I want it to be, perfect and not busted up. So, my willingness to purchase has been very, very low. But they had a beautiful mirror and we took like selfies in it and we were all set up. And then as the girls were like chatting, I would rotate them every 10 to 15 minutes. So everybody got to talk to everybody, which was fun, and do like a little rotation situation. And that was Valentine's Day. And honestly, like I really needed it. It was great for my soul. It was a great event. I met so many new gals. And like I said, 2 gals that were not a part of my party, but that still made friends. And then Valentine's Day, oh gosh, like my work day was so crazy. Like it was just like a very long day on Friday. I didn't get done until kind of late, but I finished up and, Valentine's Day was very demure this year, very cozy, very chilly outside. I feel like with all this winter storm stuff, like we're just, staying inside, keeping cozy as one should, and not like venturing out in the cold, nasty weather. I'm just trying to keep positive that it will warm up soon. Like it will get warmer. The days will become longer. And if you're like me and you are also just like really struggling through this like last little bit of winter, you are not alone. Okay. You're not alone. I feel like my just like overall motivation has been kind of low with the dreariness, with the chilliness, all the things. I'm trying to lean into some of the things that I would feel guilty about doing in the summer, like staying inside and reading a book. I have a whole stack of books. I actually, from going up to Iowa, I took a couple of my sister's books. She doesn't know it yet. I did not ask her permission at all. And I figured it was only payback from every time that she's ever borrowed any of my stuff without asking. But I picked up a couple of her books. I have a couple of books from my mom. And then of course I'll get on like a little spree of like purchasing a book and be like, oh, I need the whole trilogy, all the things. So I'm trying to read books. Can't wait until I can read a book in the hammock outside and just be so cozy. Right now I'm reading, it's like I'm very okay because I've been watching Southern Charm, I'm very much all about Charleston. I think I would love to go on like a little vacation to Charleston, South Carolina. I think it would be so much fun, but it's like a Southerner's Guide to Killing Vampires. I got this book in a stack from my mom, and I kind of just started because it's also themed in Charleston. And I would like to get off my iPad just a little bit. Although it's like this love-hate relationship of I'm trying to catch up for the Southern Charm. I know Craig and his current girlfriend Paige has been like all over in social media. And currently Craig is in where I'm at in the series is not dating Paige. He just broke up with oh my gosh, and she was one of my favorites. What the heck is her name? I can't remember it right now. He's currently dating a Natalie. So he was, I can't even think of her name. I'm so sad. The season I'm in right now, she just left Craig and I cannot think of her name. Now I'm just thinking Paige and Natalie. She is currently, oh my gosh, I can't think of her name and I love her. Also Cameron is now not on this season I think I'm on season 7. But I'm trying to catch up. So the news is relevant to me. But I started reading. It's been on my bookshelf for probably over a year, but I started reading it and it's describing the houses. And since I've been watching the reality TV of Charleston, I can like really picture the houses. And just like, I can see it in my mind's eye. It's been fun. Also been trying to read before bed. I feel like the time on my phone has just been astronomical, with it being so cold outside, with like the activities being kind of short, with having like lower motivation and not wanting to do anything. But I am trying to just like be very gentle with myself and like knowing that we also have to rest, like to perform. We need a little rest. We need to be restful. So that's what I've been doing. It like just in preparational part, right? Like preparing for spring and all the good things that are to come. So, February is the shortest month, but yet it still seems so long in other ways and also so short. But been clearing out a couple things and trying to read the books so I can return the books. Trying to finish watching Southern Charm, so I'm up to date. But yeah, just making progress on some of our goals. I have been also trying to like get out of the house and keep busy, even if like I'm totally not feeling it. This past weekend, I went and got coffee with one of my very good friends, and they had like some spring items on their like menu. So I am looking forward to spring things. They had pumpkin bread, which it was the best pumpkin bread, but it had me thinking about like carrot cake and banana nut bread and like all of those really fun Easter things. I also have been looking for the mirror that I was talking about, but 2 other decorations or like pieces for the house. And after I was done with my little coffee day, I was like, oh, this is the perfect time to go antiquing. I've been going to Home Goods. I've been going to I went to Nebraska Furniture Mart. I had to get a new chair for my office. But just like trying to find pieces, there's so many like spring things out. You guys know that I love to thrift and love to like purchase something secondhand if possible. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to a couple of antique stores because I was in Overland Park and I'm not like normally over there all the time for like shopping. But I was like, you know what? I haven't hit these up for a while. Let's go. And if I'm in the spring cleaning mood, I'm sure like other people are also in the spring cleaning mood. And hopefully if they've like taken a couple of their, like really good items, which there is a difference between thrifting and antiquing. I am aware thrifting is like buying things on discount. Antiquing is like a historic piece, that had like a very defined time in history. I don't know. But I love to antique for things if possible. Thrifting is my number one fave, but antiquing, I feel like we need a better entryway, something or another. Right now we just have like this little table and it's okay, but it's mostly like where we stack stuff. And whenever I start bringing awareness to like stacking things, I always think, okay, like why is this stacked? Does it not have a home? Like everything needs a home. Everything needs a place to go. And if it doesn't have a home, if there's no place to go, what do we need to get rid of so that it has a home? Like, does this thing that's getting stacked up, does it actually mean something to me? Or can it, find a new home in someone else's house? But I wasn't able to. I pulled into thrifting, and I love to do this by myself. I love to put like little ear pods in, headphones or whatever, and be listening to a podcast or an audiobook and just like walking down the aisles. It's so much fun, and you can just like spend so much time just like kind of doing whatever, walking around by yourself. And I was like, okay, this afternoon that's what I'm gonna do. And Garrett, he was with a couple of his friends and they were having vehicle trouble. So it's like, oh gosh. So luckily I was like fairly close. I was only 10 minutes away from them, but I was able to pick like Garrett up and then like our friends, it's a husband and wife and they have a little baby. And so I picked up them and we went and got a trailer and then we pulled it back and then we hauled the vehicle out. And I was like, dang, like this is taking away from my thrifting, which was a little sad, but I also feel like on one hand, you can be very inspired by like going into a thrift store and like trying to figure out like, or an antique store and trying to figure out like how it would fit in your house. But I find the best inspiration coming from like looking on Pinterest or looking, reading magazines. I subscribe to a couple magazines. I do like the physicality of it being in my hands. But I find that if I just go out willy-nilly and purchase things, then it doesn't always fit in the space like I had imagined, or I'll have it like stuck in a corner. I'm like, I actually can't use this. And I find that like just purchasing things without a plan does not always turn out right. And I'm trying to be more data or more specific and very oh my gosh, very not intense, very intentional. Oh my gosh, I could not think of that word. Very intentional with the pieces that I'm bringing in my home, because I do know that it's hard to get rid of those things. It's hard to like take a look at everything that has been accumulating and think, oh gosh, like I'm going to have to like get rid of this, or I'm going to have to like pack it up or try and sell it. Like selling items is absolute worst. I do not recommend it. I'm always donating because I don't want to mess with it. Like I seriously, I don't want to mess with trying to ship it or trying to meet someone. Like, although I would buy something on Marketplace every day of the week, I'd rather just drop off the things to be donated and move on from that, right? I'm very much like in a cleansing of the area kind of mood, and also just like being intentional with the stuff that I'm bringing in, right? And if I'm replacing items, like I replaced my suitcases, I eliminated my old suitcases. I donated them. So it's like replacing and elevating and not holding on to the things that would drag me down or hold me back, but instead just being super intentional and just, I don't know. I feel like right now everybody is just becoming more conscious of the things that we are buying and like the clutter and the waste that is just stacking up, and I hope that we make a shift for the better, and that it's not like this like it's not for nothing. Like we all do something to just encourage a betterment for our world, essentially. And I know it doesn't start immediately, but if we can do anything to help it, that's what I'm going to try to do. So thrifting was a bust, and antiquing was a bust, but I'm thinking maybe next weekend, I'll have more time and it'll be like sunnier out, maybe a little bit better on navigating the roads. And I'm just hoping that with spring coming, people are going to be donating items that they no longer want in their house. And that is the prime time for thrifting. That is the moment that you're wanting to like go out and get things. And if you saved any Christmas money like we did, it's always fun having like those like cards from your grandparents or aunts or uncles or whatever, and you're able to be like, oh, like cash. I never hardly ever have cash, and that is like yes, it's a gift, but even so much so, it's like free money essentially, right? I don't know. Anyways, so just trying to make my house a home and lean into this adulthood, if you will. And cleaning out and clearing out is not always like super, super fun. I do know, like for myself, of like looking at the items and I think, oh gosh, like, will I ever use this? Or will I ever regret getting rid of this? And I always ask myself, like, is this going to be easily replaceable? Like if I do get rid of it, can I find something that's similar, even if I have to like pay a little bit more for it? And the answer is usually always yes. Like I will be able to find something very similar to this. This is not special. I will be able to replace it. And the feeling is just like no other. Seriously, I keep going back to it. I just feel so good about the things that we cleared out. And I know like the next things that are coming are going to be so positive, right? Sometimes you just have to shift the narrative. You have to think, oh, like positive, good things are coming. Like I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, or, winter will be coming to an end, and then we'll be into spring, and then it'll be into summer, which is great. But springtime really is one of my favorites. And if you saw on social media this past week about the little anglerfish, like going to the top of the surface, who knew that little angler, like if you don't know what I'm talking about, on Finding Nemo, it's this like fish, Dory and Merlin's the dad's name. They're like they get spit out of the whale, I think, at this moment. I have not seen Finding Nemo in so long. I feel like I want to rewatch it right now, but I have been like pushing off Disney movies because there will be one day when I have children and I'll have to rewatch them all, and I want it to be exciting and not like, ooh, boring, because I've rewatched them like recently. Anyways, so they're like at the depth of the ocean, and Dory's like, oh, do you see the squishy? It's like this little light, and she's like, you're my squishy. And Merlin's like, oh, he is actually like kind of cute. Hi, little buddy. Hi, little guy. And then come to find out, it is a predator fish with a little light that hangs in front of it, like on like an antenna, and so it attracts little fish or little creatures of some sort. I don't know, like any sort of prey, and it will. Oh my gosh, so sorry. My knee started to cramp, and I was like, I want my little footstool. But it will attract like any prey into its mouth, and so Dory and Merlin like almost got eaten by this little fish that has like these sharp teeth. You know what I'm talking about now? Yes. Okay. And I'm sure you've seen it on social media, like this little blackfish came to the surface and is usually like at the bottom of the ocean, which is kind of crazy that it's came up to the surface, but everybody is like taking it as like this very inspirational thing, like the journey that it must have had to like travel to the surface. And it's been a good reminder of like, you can do hard things, and sometimes like if you don't have light, right? Like this fish is in the depths of the ocean. It is so dark, and to have like it make its own light and then travel to the surface, which is absolutely insane, right? And I don't know, very inspiring, very cutesy, even though the fish is, I don't want to be mean, it's definitely not sightly. Like it's little jetted out teeth, like its jaw. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's so cute also, but just like good inspiration. Like she made her own light, and then she had to travel all this way to find like the sun. So beautiful, so cutesy. But yeah, it really is so small. I saw another video of like the little fish in the guy's hand. The fish is so small, like literally way smaller than expected. But if you watch Nemo, like you know that Nemo and Dory aren't very big, right? Like, so why would this like the nutrients and the food sources down at the bottom of the ocean probably are not as good as like at the top or by the coral, right? And so like nutrition might be kind of not as apparent. And so if you don't have good nutrition, this fish can't grow very big, right? Anyways, so very cute little fish. I've seen so many memes and like AI videos generated of this black anglerfish like coming to the surface, and they're very symptomatic, very, very cute. Also just like very sad. So the light is at the end of the tunnel, and sometimes you're just going to have to shift your energy. You're gonna have to put the work in. You're gonna have to like do things that are uncomfortable or like push you to your limits or keep you out of like this comfortable state. But if you can do it, if you can accomplish it, if you can push past like the hardness of it, then it's smooth sailing from there. You feel accomplished, you feel good. I always think that when I'm procrastinating, it's worse than actually doing the actual thing, the to-do list item. Because when you can cross it off, you're like, oh yeah, like I feel really good about this. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And you're able to like move on to something that's actually fun. And so I'm trying to think of that myself. Like, okay, we're going to have like a little bit of work to do. We're going to have to go through like a little bit of struggle, a little bit of, we have to like release some things from our home. We have to, maybe say goodbye to some habits or some things that are in your life that you can't have anymore. I don't know. Whatever it is to you that you know in your heart that like, oh, this is going to be painful, or I need to get rid of this. And then when you finally do it, it's like this weight has been lifted off your shoulders. You feel accomplished. You feel so good. You feel ready for the next thing. So yeah, the light is coming. Springtime will be here. It's what are you going to do in like the last couple of weeks of winter? What are you going to do that's going to help prepare you or help set you apart from maybe your old self, someone or who you were last year, or the year previous, and what you would have done for yourself that wasn't like as good. I don't know. That's how I'm thinking of it, of how can I make whatever I'm going through a little bit better. And even if I'm feeling like it's so dreary out and it's so cold, like what can I do that is going to just like help my future self in the best way possible? So I've been doing a lot of like little projects that I've been needing to get done for so long. They've been on my later list. They've just been like kind of stacking up, honestly. And it's been so good to like cross them off. And normally I can get it accomplished like in a day. Or even like a couple hours for some of the smaller things. Maybe it's a call, maybe it's booking a meeting, maybe it is like doing some research. And when you accomplish it, when you get it done, it just feels so good. And it feels way better than the procrastinate or like the little bit of, it's not even rest when you're procrastinating. It's just like a little break in between of like actually doing the work. And when you're able to do that, it feels the best. So of course, for myself, I'm trying to figure out how to like count down the days almost, but still make them impactful days, right? Like I'm waiting for spring. I'm waiting for the days to be longer. And I'm trying to figure out how not to procrastinate the things that are on my list, but instead how to figure out how to like make the days leading up to it worthwhile, how to make them good, how to, check off those things from my list, because it's not the days that are the most productive that are like the best days. Obviously that's good. You have a productive day, you feel really good, but it's like the little habits, the little increments of success that you stack up on the mundane days, the days that you don't feel good, the days that you don't feel motivated, or like you're aligned with your goals, but instead you can like get even the minimum done, even the minimum, so that all those days stack up. Because if you only have like a good day once a week in comparison to like 7 half good days, right? Or even like 1 hour of like productive time every single day, instead of like some days you have 5 hours of productive time, 2 hours of productive time, 0 hours of productive time. Like it can vary, right? So I'm just trying to figure out a way on how to avoid the procrastination and instead like slowly inch away at all the things that need to be done and the things on my list. And we'll make it to spring very soon. And you know what? A little bit goes by, like it will go faster than you think, right? Currently I'm taking tennis lessons twice a week, and I can't help but think, okay, it's just a month of tennis lessons, and I'm trying to enjoy each of those moments, because I know like it will change, and that'll be a period of time that I can look back on and think, oh, like that February I took tennis lessons, or last April, like I graduated from yoga teacher training, or, 2 falls ago, I learned how to do this or learned how to do that. And it's like what you can do in the time that you're given, or the time that you had, even if you don't feel like the most productive or the most, on key. So that's how I'll be spending my last half of February, of just trying to find or like cross off those things that will make me happy, that will get me, because obviously like there's always things to work on. There's always things to work on, and you might not actually like feel the motivation or feel the drive to actually accomplish or achieve those things. So you have to make it fun. You have to find like ways to incentivize yourself, or even like work towards the goal. If I can get this completed in the 1 hour, be productive, then like the next 3 hours I can do whatever I want, right? It's the ebb and the flow. It's the give and the take. So maybe there's things that you have been like wanting to clear out of your space. Maybe there are things that you know that you need a reset or a new recalibration, and you've been putting it off. You're like, I'll do it when it's warmer out. I'll do it when I have more time. But seriously, like if you were able to just like start in one little small area, like, and work towards that bigger goal, or chip away at the piece of cake, slowly but surely at a time. And then you realize like, oh, you know what? I have all these days stacked up of success. So it's easy. I can continue. I have built the muscle. I've done the things. And ultimately like the weeks are going to pass no matter what. So it's all on what you decide to do with your weeks, and if it's going to be worth it or not to you. So I've just been picking up little side projects or trying to complete some side projects. You guys know that I love my list. I have multiple lists occurring and accruing right now. So it's like, all right, what can be accomplished today? What can be done today? To where I can feel like, okay, we have that completed. We can move on to the next thing. And it feels good because then I can spend my time reading or, taking a bath or any of the things. I don't know. Like I always feel like so accomplished when the thing is actually completed. of like my closet or cleaning up. Like yesterday, I cleaned the house top to bottom. It wasn't super dirty because we have been like hosting people, and we've been traveling some. So it's not even like we've been able to be in the house, but, just being able to like pick everything up and make it clean. Like I had the energy to do it. So I did it. And then come this upcoming week for all the amazing things that will come this week. Like I'm being, what is it? Half glass full of like all the amazing things that are going to come this week. I know that I'm going to be able to enjoy it more because my house is perfectly picked up and cleaned and all the things. And then you can reflect and feel good about the choices that you made previously. So I don't know. It's going to be a good week. I hope that whatever goals that you have been working on or the things that you need to clear out of your house, maybe you need to downsize your wardrobe. Maybe you need to switch over your products. Maybe it's just grocery shopping instead of like going out to eat all the time, or reading a book instead of doom scrolling, whatever it is for you. Know that you can just take it one little step at a time. It doesn't have to be perfect all at once. Life is not instantaneous like that. Sometimes you have to do like a little bit here and a little bit there, and then it will all perfectly come together in its imperfect way. And you'll feel really happy that you started the journey of removing things or incorporating other things one step at a time. So thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all the things, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.